very troubled. In his story, he says there's only three things that are for sure: taxes, death, and trouble. I suck the last of my soda through the straw, then I burp and say, that sounds like a really depressing song. Trub smiles. It's got a good beat. You like jazz? I shrug. I think my daddy used to listen to jazz records, but Ma doesn't play them anymore. Trub says, one of these days I'll play that song for you. It might sound depressing, but it's really about not letting life get you down. I nod and gather up what's left of my meal. My aim's not that great, so I carry it over to the trash can, but before I can get there, the biggest rat I've ever seen scurries across my path. I holler and jump back. The rat's head straight for Trub, but he doesn't seem concerned. In fact, he pets the spot where I'm sitting on the bench and grins where the rat hops up and puts his front paws on his leg. There are plenty of rats in Brooklyn. There's dirty and nasty carrying disease. Remember the plague? So I definitely keep my distance. I'm expecting this giant rat to take a big bite of my grandfather's leg, but instead he asks, hey, Trub, got any grub? You're too late, Nate. Grub's gone. Where you been? The rat puts one paw on his hip and looks like he's ready to tell Trub a long story until he sees me, or rather the uneaten food in my hands. Hey, kid, the rat calls over. You gonna eat that? I shake my head and set my leftovers on the ground. I barely have time to pick my hand away before Nate hops off the bench and starts devouring my cold fries. When a hungry pigeon tries to steal a bite of hamburger bun smeared with ketchup, Nate rushes at the poor bird and sends it squawking. I slip back onto the bench and ask, friend of yours? Trub nods and says, me and Nate go way back. He's no ordinary rat. I watch the rat greedily gobble down my leftovers and try to see what makes Nate so special. Trub can tell I'm not impressed. Nate's got a nose like no other. All the rats can sniff out food, but Nate, Trub pauses at the beam of the rodent friend. Nate's got a nose for magic. Magic has a smell? Nate stops eating and looks over at me over his shoulder. Everything has a smell, kid. Magic, joy, fear, regret, all of it can be detected if you got the right nose. He taps his snout with one claw before rising up off his haunches to sniff the air. What do you smell, Nate? Trub asks. The rat turns away from us and sniffs again. Strange. There's a trace of envy in the air. And something else. Nate sniffs again, and then he looks at us. I smell a thief, he says in a grave voice. I tighten my hold on Ma's purse and glance around nervously. Trub frowns. Close by, he asks. Nate shakes his head and strokes his whiskers. Long gone. Then he grins and rubs his paws together. But I do love a challenge. Gotta run, Trub. Thanks for dinner, kid. Nate scurries over to the curb and disappears into the sewer. Can you smell a thief down there? I ask Trub. He nods and gets to his feet. I pick up my trash off the ground and place it in the can. When I turn around, Trub surprises me by saying, when Nate said he could smell regret, he's talking about me. What do you regret? I ask. So many things, Trub says slowly, shaking his head. I sure was sorry to hear about your daddy, Jax. My cheek starts to burn, and suddenly I want nothing more than to be squeezed inside the dark guardhouse, hurtling through time. I stand before Trub with my eyes glued to the ground. He reaches out a hand and gently rubs his thumb over my eyebrows the way Mama does sometimes. I look at your grandfather and ask, how did you find out? I may not be around all the time, but I've always kept tabs on you and your mama. You weren't at the funeral, I say softly, hoping to hide the accusation in my heart. I was there, but I thought it was best for me to keep a low profile. A funeral isn't really the right time for a family reunion. But the last time we talked, your mom made it clear that she didn't want me interfering in her life. Mom said that? Trub nods. That was over 10 years ago, before you were born. Can't say I blame her, you see. I couldn't always find steady work when your mama was a little girl, and that meant she had to go without some things sometimes. Plus, I had some buddies who were kind of shady, and I got mixed up in their mess. But when Ma introduced me to the realm of magic, everything changed. For the first time in my life, I really felt that I belonged. I was useful again. Ma believed in me, and that made it easy to believe in myself. I thought I could wrap the world around in a rainbow and go to Alicia, but she didn't want no part of it or me after that. If you knew Mama didn't like magic, why did you leave her with Ma? I didn't, but my wife, your granny, she got the wrong end of the stick when it came to me and Ma. so she just dropped Alicia right in the middle of it. Some folks fear magic, Jax, a black magic especially. But in the other realm, there is no black or white. There's less fear and more wonder. Trub smiles to himself. I thought my little girl could be like the girl in the book, Alice in the Wonderland, but I was wrong. My baby girl didn't see any beauty, just the strangeness. I feel like Trub's talking in riddles again. This time I asked for help. Wait a minute. Are you saying you took Mama to another dimension when she was a little girl? Trub nods, just once, but once was all it took. She took a look around, shut her eyes as tight as she could, and demanded that I take her back home. I can't wait to see the realm of magic. At least I'm curious about what it's like. It's hard to imagine my brave mother being so scared. But then I remember how terrified I was when Ma accidentally took me to the land of dinosaurs. If the magical realm has dragons, maybe Ma felt the same way. Trub looks pretty miserable, so I tried to think of something that will make him feel better. Ma says Mama wanted to be ordinary, I tell Trub. He nods as if it makes sense to him. Maybe so. What about you, Jax? What do you want? I think for a moment. Does Trub know that Mama and I are about to lose our home? Would he approve if I told him I wanted to be Ma's apprentice? I don't know the answers to those questions, so I just say, I want to find Ma and make sure she's okay, and then I want to help her deliver the dragons. Trub claps his hands together, gets up from the bench. Then that's what we better do. You ready to go? I nod and hold Ma's purse close to my chest. It feels lighter than before, but then I remember what's missing. I don't have Ma's compass, I tell Trub. She had it on her when we got separated. That's good. She'll need it to find her way around, he says. Trub reaches in his pants pocket and pulls out a silver watch. I got my own, so if you got the dragons, we're all set. We're missing something else. I scan the street for a scruffy homeless man pushing an overly flowing grocery cart. Don't we need Amber Rose to open the door, I ask. Trub winks at me, and his goatee flashes between his lips. And it happens, picking locks is one of my specialties.